Welcome to Off the Coast, where we examine the views from Vancouver Island with your host, Rosemary Barnes. New and exciting things, preserved and respected things, business, recreation, politics, travel, all from the point of view of the people living and working on the island. Rosemary is a professional speaker and certified speaking coach living in historic Ladysmith and loving every day of the island life. Here is your Vancouver Island host, Rosemary.
Welcome to Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island. I'm your host, Rosemary Barnes, the Maverick Voice at Confident Stages. Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island is a show about the people, places, and things that involve Vancouver Island, how the world affects us, and how we affect the world. Today, I am thrilled to my bones to welcome Terry Lynn Boyle to the show. Terry Lynn is the owner of Amethyst Forest, which she opened in 2015. And in that store, she sells almost everything metaphysical and spiritual. She offers services such as medium reading and crystal light therapy, Reiki and car massage and card readings, none of which I know anything about. So I am so pleased that my brain is going to get a few new wrinkles today as Terry Lynn enlightens us right from our spirit to our fingertips about what all of that means. Welcome to the show, Terry Lynn.
Thank you so much for having me.
I don't
enlighten you.
I don't know anything about all of these things, and I'm sure you're going to tell us all about that. But to be involved in the world of the metaphysical, the question becomes to me, how did you get there? At what point in your life did you realize, as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, that you had this sort of special spirituality about you?
Well, I think as a child, for sure. I mean, I had visions as a child, and I was really raised in a religious background. So anytime I would say something about talking to dead people, or I see ghosts or something like this, I was told, shh, 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 don't say those things. You know, people will think you're crazy. So I grew up thinking that I wasn't supposed to say anything, and that, you know, I was crazy. So it took a long time to kind of get that self-doubt that you have, because to do anything like this, you have to believe in yourself.
How old were you when this started to happen?
The earliest that I can remember seeing visions, I was between 3 and 4, and I scared the tar out of me too. I didn't know what it was.
Oh my goodness!
Well, I was over
That's a lot for a brain at that phase of development to have to cope with.
Well, it is, and I'm calling my cousin. We were over at their house, and I was calling her over to see this big white and purple man that was standing there, and there was an angel. I guess there was wings. I'm sure it was the Archangel Michael, but she couldn't see it. So I really thought I was crazy, and so
Wow.
I talked to myself for a lot of years, and I was in my 30s before I finally said, you know what? I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I'm going to go crazy if I don't say something and do something about this.
So, did you just decide that it was going to be okay and you could voice these things, or did it take some sort of outside help to give yourself the confidence to be able to speak your mind?
Well, it did. It took, I don't know if it was outside help or inside help, but I think I had a lot of death happen to me from December the 8th of 1996 to December the 10th of 2000. I lost my grandmother, who raised me till I was 10, and my stepdad, who raised me from 10 on. I lost them within 11 days of each other. I lost my grandfather. I lost my step-grandparents, an aunt, an uncle, my best friend, my 9 and 10-year-old niece, my mother, my cousin, who was the same age as me. All of this just kind of happened in a matter of 4 years. And it was almost like somebody was, smacking me upside the head saying, come on, get the hint. So I finally said, okay, I've had enough. All right, fine. I'll look into it, kind of thing. And I went to a medium, and I said, she looked at me and she goes, well, first I want to ask you, you have this amazing ability to speak with those who have passed over and help people. Why aren't you doing that? And I was like, okay, you had to put the help people in there, didn't you?
Oops.
So it's not just about me, doggone it. So at that point, I really just started to read books, and I started to see if I like to test myself. The phone would ring and I'd go, okay, that's so-and-so. And I'd pick it up because it was before caller ID, of course. I'd pick it up and go, hello. And it was exactly who I thought it was. And I just started, the first thing that would come into my mind, that is what I would go with. But it still took me a long time because I didn't have that trust in myself or the belief. And I still worried about people thinking I was crazy and that kind of thing. So one day, my hairdresser, of all people, was doing my hair, and I was really just overwhelmed with everything going on in my life and stressed. And she looks at me and she goes, you know what? You need Reiki. And I went, oh, okay. What would that be? And so she told me, it's a manipulation of energies, a Japanese thing that's been going on forever and ever and ever that the Japanese developed. And you just manipulate energies. Okay. All right. Well, we'll go with that then. So I went and had Reiki done and immediately joined a class. And the lady that did the Reiki, she says to me when I first walked in, she says, so you're a healer. And I kind of looked at her funny and went, okay.
I'm a what?
Exactly.
Say
Okay.
what?
And she says, she goes, so how many clients do you have? And I just kind of was like, I am really sorry, but I have no clue what you're talking about. She went, oh, okay. So we did the Reiki session, and then I immediately signed up to take the classes. And it was like a portal for me because now I didn't have to worry about the messages coming through or people thinking I was crazy because I wasn't doing that medium thing. I was, I wasn't talking to dead people, because that's what I told people. I wasn't a medium. I just talked to dead people.
Oh,
And,
nice.
oh, yeah. And I just kind of used Reiki. It was a portal. Now I had instruction. First I do this, then I do this, and then I do this. And if messages come through, fabulous. But if they don't, that's okay too, because I'm doing Reiki. So it really was great because it helped me to not have that doubt in myself. Even though as soon as I touched someone, I just bleh about their people who had passed or what was going on in their life or what could happen in the future. And I just
So
went with that.
the emotions come through as well.
The emotions come through as well. Now I just do medium readings. I don't even do Reiki that often, but when I'm sitting with a client and I'm doing a reading for someone, I take on their emotions. If the spirit starts to cry, I start to cry. If they cuss a lot, all of a sudden I'm dropping F-bombs going, oh, I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, laughing. No, that was my wife. Don't worry about it. I sit like they sit. I'll stand or I'll have my hand on my hip, or if there was a certain position they might, have their hands in or something, I'll end up being like that. Yeah, it's really cool. It's for me, because I get validation where people go, oh my gosh, that's just exactly the way my mother would stand. I go, really? I don't know why I'm standing this way, but I guess, okay, we'll go with that. So,
It must be exhausting.
well, it is at times, yes. My appointments are an hour long, but if I don't have another appointment and, we're chatting away and everything's going good, I just keep talking. And then all of a sudden we're in here for 2 hours, or 2.5 hours. And oh, wait, that's why I'm so tired. And my husband always knows when I've done readings because I go home and he looks at me and goes, oh, how many did you do today? You should really go lay down. So it is exhausting. I try to only do 2 a day, but
How does your husband feel about all of this?
well, let's say that I married a redneck farm boy from Ontario.
Okay, let's say that.
If you can't see it, feel it, or hear it, it ain't real.
Yep.
So it took me a while to convince him. And I would say stuff like, "Oh, that's your mother calling. She's going to talk to you about this." He'd go, "Yeah, yeah, whatever. Pick it up. Hello, Mom." "Oh, yeah, okay." He'd hang up and say, "Oh, so when did you talk to her last?" "Okay,
Uh-huh.
well, that'll work." So then we would be driving down the road, and I'd go, "Okay, we're going to come to this stop sign. There's going to be a red car that goes by and a blue pickup and a little boy on a bike." We get to the stop sign. Sure enough, there's the red car, the white pickup, or the blue pickup, whatever I said, and the little boy on the bike. And he'd be like, "How'd you know that?" "I don't know. I just did." "Okay." And then I started doing Reiki on his pipeline guys. He's a pipeliner in the oil and gas industry. And I started doing Reiki on his buddies. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, your wife's just amazing." So he'd kind of go, "What? Really?
She
You're letting
is?
her do that voodoo stuff?" I always called it my voodoo stuff. "Oh, she's doing her voodoo stuff again." So,
Ah.
but then he kind of, there were too many things that he just, now he's like, "Yeah, I believe in her. He's my biggest supporter." He's always been my biggest supporter, but now he does it with belief. So it's a little bit better.
Wow. What about your extended family? How are they with your powers?
Well, I'm not just the only one in my family. Like I had an aunt who read tea leaves. She's passed away now. And I had another aunt who just knew things. And even my mother just knew things. They called it mother's intuition. But at the time I thought, "Oh, that's all it is." But I do realize now that mom probably had some abilities that she never, looked into. That was on my mom's side. And then on my dad's side, my grandmother, or my great grandmother rather, was Cree, and she was the medicine woman of the tribe,
Oh.
and the doctor and stuff of the tribe. So I probably come by it honestly. Most of my family is very supportive. Even like my dad, I didn't think he would ever believe in any of this, but he's he's like, "Yeah, no, I completely believe in it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we don't know much about the dead people. I'm not sure he's keen on that, but that's okay. It is what it is.
So, do you ever? I mean, I imagine you prepare yourself to be receiving messages. Now, as a child, when you were trying to fight this, did you ever receive any unwanted messages?
Yes.
How so?
Um, well, my uncle committed suicide when I was 9 years old, and because I lived with my grandparents, he was like my father figure. He was very close to my grandparents and to us, and he ended up killing himself when he was 24, and I was 9. And he pretty well stayed with me until probably about, I must have been about 18 or 19 years old. And I didn't feel him again after that. But, being Catholic, I was told that if you committed suicide, you would go straight to hell.
Right.
Now, I never believed that because I could not believe that my uncle would go to hell because he was such a good guy. This coming from a 9-year-old now, of course,
Understood.
just I never believed that. When I'd say my prayers at night, I'd always say, "And tell Uncle Don I said hello," and that I miss him. But he really stuck with me. When I was 16, I was laying in bed. It was New Year's Eve, and I was laying in bed, and I was always afraid of the dark all of my life. And so I had I had my doors. My closet would always be closed. My door would be closed, but I always had a little light coming in from somewhere. And this one night, it was New Year's Eve, and I woke up and I knew my uncle was coming to get me. And I don't know why I was terrified, but he was coming to get me, and he must be with the devil, and they're both coming to get me. And I finally had the courage to run, and I jumped one step out of my bed and out of my bedroom and ran into the living room where my brother was watching the ball fall down in New York on TV. And I
Hmm.
ran in there, and he's like, "What's the matter?" And I went, "Nothing. I just wanted to get in here quickly to see you, brother dear." You know. And I had to stay out there for a little while and kind of calm myself. And when I went back to my bedroom, I was very cautious about going in. And I didn't feel anything, so I was fine. And I never had any problem like that again. But that was probably one of the scariest. But I was that kid that always climbed in bed with grandma and grandpa or mom and dad, or always had to have somebody sleep with me. I hated being alone, and I hated the dark because people talked to me. So,
That must have been, that must have made you feel very alone.
yeah, I was a loner.
Because people didn't see what you saw, hear what you heard. Uh, was it difficult to make friends? Was it difficult? I mean, did you feel accepted by your family? I mean, you're saying that you grew up with your grandfather, so I'm guessing there was something that wasn't quite as happy as it could have been in your childhood. Is this why you were afraid to be alone as well?
Well, I don't know. Like my mother and father, like when we're over on the other side and we chart our lives, we choose our parents. We choose our mom, choose our dad, whether it's from a one night stand or a lifelong marriage. These are the two people that are going to teach me what I need to know in this lifetime. So I, my mom and dad never married. Um, my mother was madly in love with my dad. I know that. I think even the day that she passed away, she was still in love with him. Um, my dad, however, like my dad turned 18 in September. My mom turned 18 in October, and I was born in November. They were never married. They never lived together. Nothing like that. I didn't meet my dad until I was 20.
Wow, that
So
must have been an interesting meeting.
it kind of was, because I thought he was Wayne Newton, and he turned out not to be.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
To
that would
me,
be a shock.
yeah, he he came to see me apparently when I was, 2 and 3 years old, when I was a kid. And I do remember one time that he came to see me, and in my 3-year-old mind, he looked like Wayne Newton.
Hmm.
And so, there used to be those Columbia House things on the back of the magazines where you get, 9 albums for a penny or something like this. And I'd always go through and find Wayne Newton and go, "There's my dad." And my grandma would say, "No, Terry, that's not your dad." Okay. When I was 20, I met him and I was like, "Gosh, you don't even look like Wayne Newton." So
And he must have looked at you like, excuse me?
he did pretty much. But I mean, he does to a point look like Wayne Newton, but just the dark hair and similar build. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought he was Wayne Newton. So it was,
So your mom had you, and then you lived with your grandfather.
yeah, I lived with my grandma and grandpa, my mom's parents in Grand Prairie in Edmonton. And then
Hmm.
10, um, my mother and stepfather were living in Williams Lake, so I went to live with them, and I went from being an only child to being the oldest of 6 children. That was a little
Oh,
bit of a shock. So,
yes.
and still not able to talk about what I could see or anything like that. And pretty much anytime I think that that's a large part of why I opened the store, is because, especially for kids, I have so many children that come in here, and being someone who was not nurtured, that, had this ability and was not nurtured and not guided and just scared all the time. I don't want other children who have this insight or this intuition. I don't want them to be, pushed aside and told, people think you're crazy. Oh, don't say stupid things. I want them to know that it's okay. You come in here, honey, you say whatever you want and we'll talk about it. So I want them to be nurtured. I talk to the parents about it and I explain what I went through. And it's not fun.
Are
So
there are there many people that have this ability, Terry Lynn?
I believe everyone does. I believe that we are all of one consciousness. We're just at different levels. So maybe, your level is right here and my level is, maybe a little bit higher because I'm tuned into the other side, and I can hear the messages. So, and the thing for me is I don't just hear them. I, more than anything, I feel what they want me to say. So if someone is very proud of you, then I will have this, like I will feel like my chest just wants to explode with pride, and so I'll tell them, like, well, your father's very proud of you, and maybe you didn't do exactly what he wanted you to do with your life, and maybe he didn't exactly agree with what you wanted to do with your life, but he's very proud of what you've accomplished. So,
Hmm.
I'll feel,
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. Now, how does this work into the healer portion of what you do?
Well, um,
Because it's one
because
thing. It's one thing to be able to, because in one sense you're talking to those who have already passed. But how does this connect to the present day and healing people that are here and now? What's the connection to that?
well, a lot of people, they don't have that closure with parents. They hold a lot of guilt, or not just the parents, but whoever's passed over. I wasn't there to hold the hand when they died. I didn't get to say goodbye. I just can't move forward. My daughter's gone. I had a client that her daughter had passed away, and she had passed away of a drug overdose, and the woman got right into the drugs and was basically trying to kill herself so she could be with her daughter. You
Oh my
know,
goodness.
not anymore. She's very healthy and happy, and is out of that phase of her life. I'm very happy to say. But it's just a matter of, when someone passes, there's a hole in your heart. And I like to think that I might have a little bit of help and a little bit of insight in helping to close that hole up a little bit, and helping it to heal. So because I do Reiki, and I'm an empath, and I also do some shamanic healing, um and I work with crystals and everything. I can sit in here. We can talk about dead people sometimes. But okay, before I ever do an appointment, I ask for whatever is in your highest interest to come through. That might be a lineup of dead people that want to talk to you and get things hashed out, that want to, help move forward. It might be one dead person, and then just a whole bunch of healing all of those wounds that you've had over your life. I can see the shadows that you've had in your aura. I can see breaks in your aura or cracks in your aura, and help heal there. I can see a black mass that might be, dark energy or something on your body, where maybe you have a tumor on your knee, or not a, I said tumor, I didn't mean tumor, but just maybe an ache in your knee, right? So
Hmm.
I can see a darkness around your knee, and I can feel the coldness maybe around your knee, or your shoulder, or something where it's hurting. Um, I also
And then what do
would,
you do about that?
oh, well, I don't know, change the subject? No, I'm kidding.
But how do you, okay, you can see it, but
Uh-huh.
how do you then go about helping this person heal?
Well, when I see the darkness, and when I have to find out in my psyche what my guides or my higher self tell me, as far as, is this emotional? Is this physical? When something is physical like that, it is the manipulation of your good energy and your bad energy, and helping them to become balanced. There's homework. I give homework. A lot of people don't realize how amazing they are. How um, people live in the past, and that's not where you need to live. You need to be grateful for every single thing that happened to you in your lifetime, because that's helped you to become this amazing person you are today. And then I use the same old adage, uh, and now you've gone through this so you can help someone else who's going to go through it. So be grateful in that way. I always try and find the positive in anything that's going on in my life. And I hope to help people find the positive in their lives, and to appreciate not just what they've gone through, but themselves and how much they've learned during this time. So I'll work with them, um, in helping to, for them to realize how amazing they are, and how, they're a great person. I love the potential that I see in people, and that's what I try to help them see. I might do Reiki on them. I might suggest that they come in for a crystal healing therapy session, or a Reiki session, or something like that. It depends a lot on what exactly it is. They might come in for a shamanic healing session. We might do shamanic breath work, or um, there's all kinds of things. Lots of times I just have people really start journaling, and putting, I have a great homework thing to where, instead of going and buying the affirmation cards that I have for sale in Amethyst Forest,
Of course.
of course, instead of having them buy that though, I buy Post-it notes, little stickies. and I buy hundreds of packages of these. I buy them by the case, and they're all different colors. And I have people, when we're talking and stuff, and I know that their self-esteem is really low, and they really have to start believing in themselves as how wonderful they are. I give them Post-it notes, and it might be a color of the chakra where I think they're needing to clear a chakra, or I just know which one to give to them, and I know how many to give to them. And I have them go and put a positive affirmation on this Post-it, every one of them that I give them, and then post them around their house for 30 days. Now, when you do this, you don't just get used to the Post-it being there and just ignore it. You have to follow through with it. So you have to say it 3 times. You're standing in front of the mirror and you're brushing your hair, and there's a Post-it that says, I am beautiful. You look at the Post-it and you go, yeah, I am beautiful. Okay. You stop, you look at yourself, you go, I am beautiful. And then the 3rd time, Terry Lynn, you are absolutely beautiful. And then go on about your day. But you do it every time you come across one, right? So it can be a little harrowing and taxing on your nerves, like, oh, that stupid Post-it,
Yeah, why did I write that one?
Yeah, how many times I have to read this darn thing? But I have found, and I usually know whether they need to be up for 10 days or 20 days or a month or 2 months or whatever, right? Usually not much more than a month. And then I want them to call me and, come back in for a free checkup to see how you're doing or whatever, just to kind of as a follow up. And I get a lot of emails, a lot of, I feel so much better. A big thing is helping people not to beat themselves up when they feel like they haven't done something they should have, or didn't follow through with something, or get rid of the guilt and stuff like that. That's a big thing.
My husband, because when I was younger, oh, so much younger than today. Wait, that's a Beatles song. I used to use my past as a baseball bat, and I used to beat myself up all the time. And my fantastic husband, shortly after we got married, said, Rosemary, you have got to learn to use your past as a schoolroom instead of a baseball bat.
Oh, I am so going to use that. What a great, great saying.
Isn't that fantastic?
That is exactly how I feel.
Yes, yes. And so he said these wise words, and I've been married 40 years now, and I'm still trying to follow them. But they were good words. They really were good words. I'm fascinated by this crystal therapy, and the reason that I'm fascinated is because this extraordinary husband of mine collects crystals. So my house is full of crystals. There's a particular one. I have an amethyst that stands about 3 feet tall, and it's a deep, deep purple, and it's cavernous. And it's razor sharp in there. It's beautiful, and I just had to have that. But the rest of them are his. He has one, and I think he calls it a brain coral or something. And it's got purples and golds and all kinds of things. And if you looked at it, it would seem as if it was fuzzy. When I put my hand over top of that crystal, my skin begins to just vibrate. And I get these little tiny electric pulses coming off this crystal. And everyone else thinks I'm out of my mind, except my granddaughter, who is here at the moment. And she put her hand on top of it and immediately started itching at her palm. She felt it too. She felt it too. And so I'm so validated that someone else has felt this odd energy coming off this crystal. So now I'm curious, because this happens to me, do crystals do this sort of thing regularly?
Yes. That's
okay.
Crystals are, I call crystals the doctors of the ancient doctors, the first healers that we had. They're the first pharmaceuticals that we had because, crystals, every crystal has a different attribute. Some of them might share the same. Some of them are stronger than others. There's so many different things. The vibrations, you can feel the vibrations from that particular crystal.
Yes.
If it's I know that there's called a crystal called lavender quartz, and it's very similar to rose quartz, and it's like a brain beta crystal that really helps your brain. But um, crystal, let me explain. Like with your crystal light therapy, I can feel a lot of the vibrations from crystals. There is a lady that I met from Kelowna. She has a store in Kelowna, and she goes all over the world and collects her crystals and stuff. She's quite amazing. She started training as a child. She would go for 2 hours every day after school to where she's, and these are her words. A couple of witches taught me stuff. So, oh, all right, cool. So, anyway, I met her. She told me that, she finally did her dissertation on crystals. And when they tested her, she had to stand there with a blindfold on, her hand out, and they would put a crystal in her hand, and she would have to identify the crystal by the vibration.
Wow.
She did this 400, they had 400 crystals for her to identify. She identified 398, but she insisted to me that she identified all 400. They were wrong. I went, all right, well, that's cool. So,
whatever you say.
yep, good for you. You are pretty amazing. So, but when I had my first session of crystal light therapy, because I had heard about it, but I had never had anything done before, and the young lady that works here, Jasmine, I went in. She's just this teeny tiny, the cutest little thing, and you would never expect such power to come from this. She's just dynamite. I laid down, and she has the singing bowls going in the background, and
Whoa,
she's
stop. What are
okay.
singing bowls?
Singing bowls, there's two different kinds. There's Tibetan singing bowls, and then there's crystal singing bowls. And the Tibetan ones are, some of them are handmade in Tibet and Nepal. And how do you explain it on the radio?
Are they made of crystal? What are they made of?
Yes, the crystal bowls are made of crystal quartz. The other
Okay.
bowls, the Tibetan bowls, can be made of copper or clay, or most of them I think are copper. Now that I'm thinking about it, you tap it and then you go around the outside of the bowl, and it has a frequency that connects with either one of your chakras or some part of your body. Okay. So you're laying there with a beautiful lavender smelling eye pillow on your eyes, and it's nice and calming, and the music's going, and all of a sudden she starts putting crystals around you and does what is called a crystal grid. And then she starts putting crystals on your chakras. So the first time I had a healing session done with her, she put something at my feet, and all the base of my feet started getting warm. And then I could feel just this warmth come over me, just as if someone was pulling a blanket over me. And then it was like I was laying there, even after all these years and everything that I've been through and done and all that stuff, I was still going there. What's going on here?
Okay, this is new.
Yeah. And then she put something on my third eye, my brow chakra, and she put what is called azurite right there. And my brow chakra, literally, it started to pulse. And when it did that, I was like, okay, wait a second. What in the world is this? What's going on? Am I dying? Like I couldn't figure out what was going on. But it was really a very weird feeling. And so I just I'm pretty accepting. I was like, yeah, awesome. This is great. And then the second time I went, it was the same kind of thing. But now I felt something in my solar plexus, which is like right where your navel is, right where your belly button is. And that's where we hold all of our guilt and our I could have done that better, our regrets and stuff like that. We hold that in our belly there, right, in that chakra. And I don't know what she put on there, but boy, it started spinning and my stomach was gurgling. I was like, what's this? So it's really, and I felt so much better when I got up and stuff. I had to sit for a bit because I was kind of lightheaded a little bit, but I felt physically better. I wasn't drained. I didn't feel stressed anymore. And did it last? Well, yeah, not the entire time, but I felt better about things. I've still, to this day, I don't feel bad about some things that I was carrying at that time. So
How long ago was that?
uh, April.
Wow, that's a good long time.
Yeah. So I don't, like you don't, I personally, I think that all of these crystals and all of this stuff is just basically bringing up all the crap that we keep holding on to and letting go of it, and realizing that we went through it for a reason, and not having that hatred for someone who didn't treat you badly, and holding that into your heart, but actually forgive them, not because they deserve to be forgiven, but forgive them because you don't deserve to have that crap on your heart or your soul. Let go of it. It's just negative and you don't need that stuff.
It's very true. And sometimes we have to take some pretty interesting and sincere measures to rid ourselves of toxic situations and people.
Yes, we do. There's a lot of times I'll have people come in and say, I don't understand why my sister doesn't talk to me. And I'll say, well, because apparently she's learned everything she can from you, or you've learned everything you can from her. People are in your life for the amount of time that they're supposed to be in your life. So once you've learned everything from them, or you've taught everything you can to them, then it's not so important for them to be in your life. So maybe she doesn't talk to you today, but she might need to learn something tomorrow and give you a call.
How does this all resonate with your childhood religious upbringing?
Well, the
Is that a hard question?
well, kind of, because I'm trying to be nice. Um,
If it's difficult, we'll just change the topic.
no,
But
it's not. It's not.
I'm curious about how a belief in a deity, whether it is God or Buddha or whichever one people choose to believe in, and I'm curious about how what you do can be incorporated into their beliefs, or do you have to choose one or the other, or how does that whole spiritual thing work?
Well, I mean, I've always believed in a god/goddess. I believe in a higher power. If you walk into my room, into my healing room, my office, there's Greek goddesses, there's Chinese goddesses, there's, you know, um, uh, Tibetan gods. I've got I've got a crucifix that was my grandmother's. I am not Catholic anymore. I don't follow the Catholic religion. I don't follow any religion. I, I just, I never understood as a child why I had to go and tell somebody here on earth that I did something wrong when I can just tell God, and why is it that if you say so many prayers, you're forgiven? Why can't you just talk to this all forgiving God and say, okay, I messed up. I did this. I'm sorry. Forgive me and be forgiven. So how I've come to it is that I respect everyone's beliefs. I do not believe in religion because I believe that religion is man-made. Um, but I do believe I believe the Bible, not the interpretation of today's Bible. I look forward to reading the Bible from eons ago and see what the real Bible says. I just think that man's put a lot of their hands into a bunch of things and made a religion, and that's what it is. When a Jehovah Witness comes to my door, I'm happy to stand outside and talk to them, but not about religion. I tell them straight up, I think what you guys do is great. Your dedication and, to your religion and to passing the word is amazing. That's awesome. I appreciate you coming here, but I'm really not interested. And you should probably go somewhere where someone is interested because I don't want to waste your time, but I appreciate you stopping by. So it's just a matter of respect for each other. They
Mm-hmm.
walk in my house and see a Buddha sitting there, and they were very upset by that and left immediately. And I was like, okay, well, have a nice day. Bye bye. How we treat people, or how people treat us is on them. That's their karma. But how we react to how they treat us is our karma. So I try to keep that in my head all the time. Doesn't always work, but I try.
I heard I was at a really in-depth workshop the other week, and the man was doing the speaking was very, very adamant that we must not put other things in control of our happiness. Someone cuts you off in traffic, don't let them be in control of your happiness. Someone, and he was over and over and over again over the course of this 4-day workshop that I was at. He must have said, don't let it be in control of your happiness. He must have said that a good dozen times, over and over again. That's kind of the same thing, as I interpret it anyway, as in what they do is their karma. What you do is your own, right?
Yes.
How you respond to situations is your control.
That's exactly right. You know, how people treat you is on them. How you react to it is on you. And I have really, just about the time you think that you've got something, and yeah, I'm good here. I know what I'm doing here. I got this licked. Oh no, the universe comes right up, slaps you in the face with it. And I have found that driving to work every day, and especially now in the summer when there's so much more traffic on the highway and parkway, right? I have found myself in road rage. And all of a sudden, I don't know if it was yesterday morning, maybe. I think it was yesterday morning. I was driving and this man cut me off, almost hit me. And I was like, I cannot believe you just did that. How rude. Oh my God. And I was just so upset. And I was driving down the road and I was just upset. And all of a sudden I went, oh, this was a lesson for me today, wasn't it? To let me know that I have not gotten rid of that road rage. Okay. Failed this time, but I'll pass next time. And I immediately just started smiling. I forced myself to smile and wave to people and be nice and just, okay. Thanks, universe, for the reminder. I appreciate it. And so as soon as you think you've got something licked, now the universe will make sure that you haven't. So.
Where are you located, Terry Lynn? Where's your office? In Nanaimo?
Yeah, we're in Nanaimo, on Bowen Road in Bowen Center.
Okay. And so here's my question.
Okay.
Do you have standard office hours, or do you, how do you separate your time at work with your own time, with your own interests? What do you do to balance? Because for a lot of people, separating work-life balance is an issue. Now, for you, it could definitely be an issue, is what I'm thinking, or is it not? Have I interpreted this incorrectly?
No, it can be an issue at times, especially, when people find out what you do. You say, oh, well, I'm a medium, and they immediately, oh, who do you see around me? Well, nobody. Now go away. So
yeah,
I say that, but,
go tell your mother she wants you.
Yes, your mother loves you. Your dad thinks you're not very nice. So that's all I got for you. Sorry, but no, I probably give away more readings than I ever get paid for. With the store, with the Amethyst Forest, we're open 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday. And during the summer, I've been taking readings on Fridays and Saturdays because I understand some people don't want to take time off work. So I try and take readings on Saturdays. I forgot the question. Oops,
the question was, how do you maintain a work-life balance?
Right. So when I'm not here, and I'm at home or we go on a holiday, and if something has to be said, I have to say it or I can't talk because I just cough. I'll be standing there and all of a sudden, just out of the blue, I'll get a horrible coughing, like I have a tickle in my throat, but it won't go away. I can drink water. I can cough, and pour water and everything else. It won't go away. So if it's you, and usually when it's that severe, when it gets like that, that really means that this person has got to have help. And so we were on holidays, went to New York, Manhattan for a week, 10 days, something like that. And it was myself and my stepson and my husband. And we're in Yankee Stadium. And I'm sitting there, we're yelling for the Jays, they're playing. And all of a sudden, I start to get this little tickle in my throat. And I'm like, uh-oh, no, not now, not now. Not the time to replace. Come on now, buddy. And I'm looking to the left, and I'm looking to the right. And my husband looks at me and he goes, Terry, not now. I'm just like, what? I can tell him to go away. And I said, I know. He says, this is not the time nor the place. I'm like, I know. Hey. And then I proceeded to turn around and talk to the lady behind me. So have you lost someone? And she's like, yes. I said, well, please don't think I'm crazy, but I talk to dead people and blah, 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 and went on with reading. And he's just looking at me. My stepson leans over and he goes, are you going to make somebody cry, Terry? Yeah, probably. So, we're in the subway. It's the same thing. We're in an Irish pub. It's the same thing. So it doesn't matter if I'm in a grocery store or, on the subway or, just standing out front of the Amethyst Forest and somebody walks in. If I hear something, then I say it. And I don't expect you to put $5 in there. That's an issue I do have with some people. It seems like they're greedy and money hungry. And I don't ever want to be like that. I mean, of course you have to make a living. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, if someone comes into the store or if I'm at, McDonald's or something and I get a message that, it's okay that you weren't there when I passed. I heard what you said. I heard this, or, it was my fault. I didn't mean to do this, blah, 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 and it's going to help them to heal a little bit or maybe move forward, even just a couple steps. Why wouldn't I say it?
Well, and if that voice is going through you and needs to be heard, if in your condition, you have to let it out or you will explode.
Exactly, because I get
what do you do then to let things out? What do you do when you need to relieve yourself of this? Can you turn it off? What do you do in your free time to get away from all of this kind of stuff?
I do community theater.
Okay.
I am an actress and a director and a stage manager, and I'm pretty much that's what I went to university for. I was going to be a star, and then I met a man and 3 kids, and 10 years later I divorced him. So,
oh dear, Terry Lynn, do you know that my first degree was in drama as well?
Really?
Yes.
Well, honey, then we should get together.
And act.
Yes. That would just be crazy, I bet.
Yeah, I got mine from U of A 100,000 years ago. Yeah.
I went to Tech University.
I wonder if you're as close to the microphone as you might be able to be.
Maybe
there.
Not.
There we go. So okay. Now, where did you go to university?
Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Texas.
Okay, and that must have been wonderful.
Well, it was. My stepdad was from South Dakota, and so we moved down to the States. Well, I was in California for a year and then Texas by the time I was 11. And I went to junior high or middle school, high school, and university in Texas. I went to Happy High School in Happy, Texas, because that's where I lived.
Happy High School. What a wonderful name.
Yes, I was Miss Happy 1978.
So you were Miss Happy in 1978.
Oh, I was. Let me tell you, I was the beauty queen of all. So.
Wow, that's extraordinary. So where's home then? Where is home? Are you home in the United States, or are you home in Canada, or does it matter for you?
No, I was never home in the United States. I don't know why. I mean, I have 5 brothers and sisters down there. I have nieces and nephews. I love them all dearly. But when I came back to Canada in 1994 or 95, I remember getting off the plane and going, oh my God, I'm home. Yay, I'm home. So Canada has always been home to me, always. And Canada is where my life was, I don't know, this is where everything changed, I guess, when I came back. My whole life changed, and for the better. So
So
it's all
staying here is. You know what else I want to ask you about is that you do you do
spit
you
it out.
always just spit it out, girl, spit it out, enunciate to the back row. What I want to know is, do you always deal with people one on one?
No, like tonight, I'm going to a medium workshop that some ladies asked me. One lady actually contacted me, and she's like, "Can you just come and talk to us?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah." And, what's up? So they it's very informal. I think there's going to be probably 15 to 20 people there, and I'm just going in and talking to them about how I do things. How I prepare. Um, how I feel things, how I hear things, and answer questions. It's kind of a question period. I do parties. I have a couple of them in August, and in Ontario, where we spend time back in Ontario, my in-laws are there, and they're getting up in age, so we tend to go back a little bit more now than we might have used to. But when we go there, I have clients there, and we'll have parties there. So we'll all do, anywhere from probably 6 to 15 people. And then I was at one point about 4 years ago, I was asked to do a TV show, and
Ooh,
they wanted to call it Vancouver Island Medium, like the Long Island Medium, right?
yes.
So anyway, I did all these readings, we did all the filming and everything. Excuse me. But I didn't really want the drama. Like, I don't want my dirty laundry aired. I'm just not that type of person. Um, I don't need people knowing that I'm mad at my husband about something, or that my daughter did something I didn't like, or whatever. So we didn't put any of that kind of thing in there. So when we sent it to the network, or when they sent it to the network, I didn't really have anything to do with anything except talking to the dead people. But when they sent it to the network, they watched it and they said, "Well, where's her family?" No, she's not going to do the family thing. That's not what this is about. And they were like, "Oh, well, she's just too normal." And then I was like, "No, wait, somebody thinks you're normal and not crazy. Okay, let's just take that and go with it." So,
Yes.
and I told them I wasn't interested in doing anything like that. So I wasn't interested in the show. But, yeah, so that's where Vancouver Island Medium came from. And that's how it's, like I have my own website and everything now.
And what about, I've heard something about a radio show.
Yes, CHLY, Chile, here in Nanaimo. I'm going to be starting a radio show, and it's going to be called Mystic Moments with Terry Lynn. And basically, it's to, again, bring awareness to everything that goes on in a place like the Amethyst Forest, or Lobelia's Lair, or Soap Exchange, or Infinity, or Wishes, or all of these different stores that we have here on the island that offer so many wonderful healing areas and crystals and gifts for this kind of thing. So what I want to do is kind of sort of what you're doing, Rosemary, is I'm just going to have every week I'll have a different healing modality on the show, and we'll learn about it, whether it's Reiki and crystal light healing and mediumship or whatever happens to be about, just to bring a little bit more awareness to the island. Because, there's so many, many spiritual people on this island, and it's just getting bigger and bigger every day.
Well, and so many of us are not aware of that any of this exists at all. We live in our sheltered little purple bubbles and are quite happy to be there. Uh,
Yeah.
my personal bubble is purple. I don't know about anybody else's, but mine is my own personal purple bubble. The one thing I wanted to ask you is, you tell me that all of a sudden you feel these things and you get a tickle and you have to speak. Can you ever call them yourself?
Yes. Usually at the end of a session, not all the time, but at the end of a session, I'll say, "Okay, so is there anybody else that you want to talk to?" We can try and pull them in. We can see, um, And a lot of times spirits show up that I don't know who they are, or they don't know who they are. So, but if they want to talk to someone, I can kind of try and tune into them and see if they'll come forward. But like I said, sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, and I'm very honest about it. I'm probably too honest. No, I'm not getting nothing. No, it ain't gonna happen. But a lot of times there's spirits that will come before the appointment. That one day I had 3 appointments, and in the first appointment so I have a young girl here, probably about 20, 21-ish, she passed away in a car wreck. Her name is like maybe Pam or Pat or something PA, No, not for me. Okay, well, maybe later it'll come to you or whatever. So, okay, let's move forward. Then I go to the second appointment. Same kind of thing happens. No, not for me. Okay. So then the third appointment comes along and I'm like, okay, so I've got this girl here. Oh, yes, her name's Patricia. She's my, So they come beforehand and then I get confused.
Which one are you here for?
Yeah, exactly. Can you just give me the name of the client, So.
Yeah. But no, they're not going to tell you that sort of thing.
No, that'd be way too easy. This would not be near as difficult if ghosts and spirits would just stand next to you and tell you exactly what to say in your ear, but they don't. They'll show me a picture. I was doing a reading for a man one time on Skype, and we were talking to his dad. He was an older man. Well, no, not older at all, very young. He was like 60, so he was very young. And so we were talking to his dad, and I'm handed I get a vision of a plate of spaghetti. And I thought, oh, look at the time. I must be hungry. So then I go ahead and I keep talking, and get another plate of spaghetti. And I thought, okay, I'm apparently craving spaghetti, so I guess we'll have that for supper. Okay. Well, about 2 minutes later, I basically get the spaghetti slapped into my face, and I was like, oh. And he says, are you okay? And I said, okay, why did I just get a plate of spaghetti? And he immediately started crying and said, spaghetti was my favorite dish, and my dad was the only one that cooked spaghetti in the family. So that's how you have to be aware of those little things so that oh, the spaghetti's not for me, it's for this man, So everything I see or hear or feel, I say, which can be very crazy sometimes.
I'll bet. What do you say, or how do you deal with, or is it an issue at all when people are absolutely closed to the idea that any of this is possible, and who go out of their way to, use such phrases as, oh, dude, way too woo-woo for me. Does that, because, of course, take a solid bridge engineer and tell them that their uncle is trying to contact them and they're going to react in a negative way. What do you do?
I thought that, and I have had that before. Usually I can feel whether I should say something or not. My accountant, we were sitting there, and it was the first time I met him. And, accountants are kind of like engineers. And so we were sitting there, and all of a sudden I looked and I said, has your mother passed away? And he looked at me and he goes, yes. And I started talking to him and giving him a message. And I didn't know what he was going to do. And he sat there and started crying, and he said, I can't thank you enough. And I was like, wow, okay, perfect. Okay, that was a good one. But I have had people, someone told me that I took advantage of people who were grieving and how horrible and despicable I was. And I said, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I respect what you do. I just don't like the negativity. But it doesn't bother me anymore. It used to bother me and make me doubt myself, but it doesn't anymore. Anymore, it's like, you know what? Whatever. If you don't want to hear it, that's fine. Then we don't talk about that. And there are a few people that I know that we don't talk about this kind of thing. We don't bring it up.
Because, and we must respect everyone's beliefs.
Exactly.
But others may not be as generous about that as you might like, right?
No, that is exactly right, because you do get a lot of, I don't get a lot of it, but maybe it's because of the way I handle it. I just kind of kill them with kindness and, take the negativity and just ask them not to have the negativity. I did have somebody on my Facebook page put something really, really nasty, and called my clients stupid, and they were brainless because they had to grasp a hold of this or something. And I did get angry at that because, and of course, you have a whole bunch of people that come on and they're defending you and stuff. And I said, at this point, you can say whatever you want to say about me. I could really care less what you say. That's your opinion, and I'll respect your opinion. But never, ever call my clients brainless.
There you go.
Don't put them down.
It has been an exciting and interesting hour with you, Terry Lynn, and I am so pleased that you were able to be on our show today.
Well, thank you so much, Rosemary. I've enjoyed this so much. It's been great. So now I'll have to have you come on my show when I start chilling.
Ooh, pick me. That would be wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Rosemary Barnes, the Maverick Voice at Confident Stages, hosting Off the Coast Views from Vancouver Island with our guest today, Terry Lynn Boyle. Next week, we're going to be welcoming a completely different sort of guest, as is my wont. I tend to like all kinds of people. Next week, Keely Donaldson will be on the show, and Keely is really motivated by issues of the island. So we're going to get into the interesting nitty-gritty of a different sort about Vancouver Island. Until next week, then, enjoy the island life.
Thank you for listening to Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island, with host Rosemary Barnes. To book Rosemary as a speaker or speaking coach, or to offer suggestions of extraordinary guests for the show, please visit her website at www.confidentstages.com.